Hello, good morning. My name is Gary again today, and I am a recovering alcoholic. I'm here to read the Daily Reflections book for November 11th, 2025. It's called Self-Restraint. Our first objective will be the development of self-restraint. That's from the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions book. That looks like, well, a newer one would look much nicer than this one. And you can find that on page 91. My drive to work provides me with an opportunity for self-examination. One day while making this trip, I began to review my progress in sobriety and was not happy with what I saw. I hoped that as the workday progressed, I would forget these troublesome thoughts, but as one disappointment after another kept coming, my discontent only increased, and the pressures within me kept mounting. I retreated to an isolated table in the lounge and asked myself how I could make the most of the rest of the day. In the past, when things went wrong, I instinctively wanted to fight back. But during the short time I had been trying to live the AA program, I had learned to step back and take a look at myself. I recognized that although I was not the person I wanted to be, I had learned to not react in my old ways. These old patterns of behavior only brought sorrow and hurt to me and to others. I returned to my workstation, determined to make the day a productive one, thanking God for the chance to make progress that day. Period. That's the end of the reading. About the second time I read this morning, earlier, of course. Because it'd be awful difficult to read this, whatever, never mind. These old patterns of behavior only, I recognized that although I was not the person I wanted to be, I had learned to not react in my old ways. There's two things that are grabbing my attention here that, okay, here, remember now, today's reading, self-restraint. Self-restraint, instant gratification. Those two things. Think about that. And then I recognized that although I was not the person I wanted to be, self-restraint, instant gratification, I had learned to not react in my old ways. That's self-restraint. The instant gratification part here that I'm talking about is, I don't know what the timeline is right this second, because I don't want to forget the point, which I'm very prone to do, is, well, here's a couple things. While I was drinking, during that career of, I don't know how long, 16 years old to about 46 years, so about 30 years of drinking. Any time during that period of 30 years, I guess, of drinking, and anytime I would stop because I thought I needed to, it wouldn't last very long because I didn't feel like it was working well enough to put up with the perceived difficulties of not drinking. So I was looking for instant gratification. you know, the way I was drinking, taking a day off from that wasn't going to fix me up. You know, it was going to take a lot of work, self-effort, and self-restraint also, and time. Just time for the brain to dry out. So, recognizing that although I was not the person I wanted to be, you know, much like this person here says in today's reading, I had learned to not react in my old ways. And when I went to Bible college, we used to say something like regarding faith, how much faith are you operating in? And you don't need a whole boatload of faith. You just need a little bit less unbelief, say, because, well, I don't want to get to the thing that you need to start where you're at. That goes for any endeavor, I think. Because I'm here, I can't start from over there because I'm not over there. I'm right here, so I need to start from where I'm at. So if I need more self-restraint to keep me from picking up, that's another common phrase us people in AA use is, don't pick up, go to meetings, get a sponsor, like those three things. So this person recognized, even though not the person they wanted to be, which I felt this way intently for, like, I don't know, maybe the 20 years I was trying to quit drinking on my own with no outside help, it was not working. So I just gave up and went right back to drinking. There's a new thing, a new twist here in this little story. Learning I wasn't the person I wanted to be, I learned to not react in my old ways. So that's a beginning. And here's another nice saying I like is, I haven't arrived at the destination, but I have left the station, like a train or a bus or whatever. I'm on my way. I started from where I was and worked with that. Because those old patterns of behavior only brought sorrow and hurt to me and to others. I returned to my workstation determined to make the day a productive one, thanking God for the chance to make progress that day. So after a while, I don't know how long, but not as long as you might think or have some nightmare vision of this is going to take forever to get any kind of positive change happening in my brain to where you want to be sober more than you did yesterday maybe. Is this thing here, determined to make the day a productive one, thanking God for the chance to make progress that day. This instant gratification thing I brought up, being who we are, like let's just say human, and an alcoholic trying to get straight. We're going to have a difficult time seeing the actual progress that's happening. You know, because we're inside this skin, this body, living every instant of it. Somebody on the outside, I can think of a couple, like maybe your estranged wife, maybe your estranged family, somebody that's put their foot down in your life and said, I just can't even be anywhere near you or talk to you until you get your act together. Something like that. And then they have the faith and persistence to wait for you to get your life straightened out. There's a whole bunch of stuff there, but again, I don't want to lose the point. somebody on the outside like that can see that, like, a week, let's say, that might be a bit too generous, but here's a typical thing, I think. Yeah, like in a treatment, inpatient treatment place where I went, it was about I think a 6-week program. Let's just call it 2 months, 8 weeks. And on day one, pretty much still drunk from 30 years of drinking. So that, 24 hours of not drinking barely made a dent. I couldn't, well, wait a minute, let me say, I really noticed the sobriety though, because I wasn't drunk as drunk, and I wanted to drink. Okay, and then, in an 8-week treatment thing, after, I don't know, but a lot sooner than I would have thought previous to entering this place the first time, I didn't miss the drinking. Partially because they kept our day so full of just new stuff that I hadn't, I wasn't looking to do any of that in my life. All the classes during the day, and then just activities and stuff or whatever. Man, it was like a full day of productive stuff that didn't involve drinking would be the key thing. And so I didn't really miss the drinking. So that's like, let's say that's the first month. That's 4 weeks. And then people are starting to return back to normal at some level. I want to make a joke, but that'll just throw everything. And I do too much hand stuff, I think. And that's a difficult one to slow down with. That after halfway mark in treatment, 4 weeks, returning somewhat to normal. 2 more weeks, halfway to the day you graduate, they had something called like Family Day. And I believe this is it would be a similar thing to a lot of other treatment facilities where after, say, 75% of the treatment, the patients are, I don't know if it's mandatory, but it's highly recommended that they get these estranged members back to come visit them for Family Day at the treatment facility. There. Now, this is the time period I'm trying to talk about, is that person on the outside in just like a month and a half, whenever they have Family Day, are very likely to see a large improvement. Let me change that a little bit. Are very likely to notice a very large change in the drug user alcoholic after 6 weeks of not using the drugs or the alcohol every day or whenever of stopping, of self-restraint and abstinence. There, let me get a drink of coffee. This is real coffee. Went drumming last night and didn't get to bed until very early this morning, and it's still morning and I'm making a video like I said I should probably do yesterday. So, self-restraint and what was the other thing? See, I forget already. That I've just been talking about it. Progress, maybe. But here, let me, again, now that I've said a little bit about my personal stuff here, let's go through this whole thing again. For the October 11th daily reflection, it's called Self-Restraint. Our first objective will be the development of self-restraint. That's from the 12 by 12 book. It's this one. And my drive to work provides me with an opportunity for self-examination. This is that continued, what is it, the 10th month? What does the 10th step say? Continue to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it, period. My drive to work provides me with an opportunity for self-examination or a continued inventory. One day, while making this trip, I began to review my progress in sobriety and was not happy with what I saw. I hoped that as the workday progressed, I would forget these troublesome thoughts, but as one disappointment after another kept coming, my discontent only increased and the pressures within me kept mounting. I retreated to an isolated table in the lounge and asked myself how I could make the most of the rest of my day. In the past, when things went wrong, I instinctively wanted to fight back. But during the short time I had been trying to live the AA program, I had learned to step back and take a look at myself. I recognized that although I was not the person I wanted to be, I had learned to not react in my old ways. Those old patterns of behavior only brought sorrow and hurt to me and to others. I returned to my workstation, determined to make the day a productive one, thanking God for the chance to make progress that day. Here, spiritual progress, not perfection. That's a thing, a bumper sticker slogan. That takes self-restraint and, instant gratification. If we can leave instant gratification at the door of the treatment center, say, and understand we're entering into like a 2-month-long program of something that's going to be entirely different than what we have just been living for whatever length of time, usually pretty lengthy. It's going to be a complete upheaval in our lives. Day by day, it's very difficult for the patient to see that they're changing and making progress, positive, constructive, good progress. So we feel discouraged. One day while making this trip, I began to review my progress in sobriety and was not happy with what I saw. I hoped that as the workday progressed, I would forget these troublesome thoughts, but as one disappointment after another kept coming. That's natural, I think, for humans to experience that. And the feeling that I get is like, oh, what next? Right? Maybe people call it getting out of bed on the wrong side or getting out of the wrong side of the bed or however that works. And, here's a good illustration. Say you're up, you're out of bed, you're standing vertical, or you're sitting in your wheelchair, say, and you get moving towards your first objective. For me, that's usually going to the toilet to urinate. I'm an old guy. I need to pee when I wake up. And I'm not in a wheelchair yet, and I have good feelings in my feet. I don't have a lot of nerve damage. And say I make my first move towards that toilet and I kick the edge of the bed with my bare toe. And boy, is that smart. It really changes my attitude rapidly right away first thing in the morning with some kind of jolting pain like that. And usually I'm pretty good about accepting that pain. And I keep moving along, and then say I go into the bathroom and I take care of myself, and I go to flush the toilet, and the chain breaks on the handle and it won't work. So now I gotta take the lid off the toilet and reach in there and fix the chain on the thing for the flapper or whatever you call that, and just say, oh man, and now it's getting later, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna need to skip breakfast now because I need to get moving. So I get moving and I go to start coffee, say, or something, and I get working on that and I spit spill it all over the counter, either the coffee ground or whatever, right? And that's like the third thing. And the patience and acceptance and tolerance are worn out. I don't have any more. And I freaking scream some obscenity at my own stupidness or my own rush, my own, nobody, it wasn't the cat that spilled the coffee, and the cat's looking at me like, this person's insane. Again, okay, so after, I understand this. Beginning to review my progress in sobriety, not happy with what I see. As the day progressed, I wished it would just change and go away. But as one disappointment after another kept coming, my discontent only increased, and the pressures within me kept mounting. If we don't find a way to deal with that, like myself, a drink of alcohol starts to sound like a good idea, and that's going to kill me one of these days if I engage in that. And unfortunately, I talked about a bunch of stuff again that I didn't actually get to where I wanted to get today, but we'll find out later if this works. So I'm going to stop now, and I'll get back with you tomorrow, and we'll all learn about step 10 by the end of the month. We'll learn something new, I bet. So thank you for coming by here. Goodbye.